All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and the truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today is dealing with truly liberated in Yahweh Shai. Truly liberated in Yahweh Shai. Okay, and I want to start here in the book of Malachi, chapter 4, verse 1. All right, and just go into the duality, okay, of the judgment and punishment, okay, the judgment, the punishment, and the reward, all right, that's coming to the earth, okay, because you have a punishment for the wicked and those that follow after this man, Esau, Edom, okay, and you have a reward for the righteous, which is the hopeful elect of Israel, okay, and Malachi 4, all right, verses 1 and 2 goes into the duality of that, okay, with both sides, all right, because Yahweh Shai, when he returned, he's coming, all right, on the mission of judgment, all right, and to execute justice in the earth, okay. So this lesson was inspired by, the camp GMS Dallas had. I believe they're in another state. I'm not sure where they at, but a brother had brought this out, and went into, the commentary, which is heavy, in the spirit. So just wanted to expound, on some points that was made, all right, because this is just inspiration for us to keep going, for us, to push, towards that finish line, man, okay, which is on those chariots, man, when we will, all right, be truly liberated, all right, fully in Yahweh Shai, all right. Now, when you go to Malachi 4 and 1, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, okay, and it's speaking of a nuclear holocaust, man, okay, and the proud, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and that day, all right, that cometh shall burn them up, said the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Al Shai of hosts, there it shall leave neither root nor branch, man, hey, Yahweh Shai, okay, the judgment that he's coming with, because the nukes are a part of the judgment, okay, the nukes and the chariots, because they all are going to what? Unleash fire in the earth, man, and it's mainly here in America, okay, which is going to be completely obliterated, all right. There's going to be whole lineages completely destroyed here in America, man, okay. It's heavy judgment that's to come, you see, for the proud and the wicked, and those that follow after, all right, Esau's proud and wicked ways, man, because 2/3 right now, they're the image of a damn Edomite, okay. They move, they think, they reason like an Edomite, okay. They're trapped into this false reality given to him by Esau, Edom, all right. Well, guess what? The elect have been liberated, okay, in the mind, all right. Before we're liberated in the body, we've been liberated in the mind, all right, to think in righteousness, man. You see, our people are still in bondage to, all right, the doctrines of Esau, Edom, okay. Let's go here, and that's why they're going to get caught up in that judgment. So let's go here real quick to the book of St. John, chapter 8, and verse 32. It says, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, okay. You see, as we really understand the truth, we become liberated from, okay, the doctrines of the devil, okay, the reasoning of the devil, you see. So our liberation begins with us being liberated in the mind, all right. Even even to be able to reason, to understand, what we're fighting for, the kingdom, understanding what that is, we have to be loose, all right, from the doctrines of the wicked, man, okay. As you read verse 35, it says, 36, it says, if the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed, okay, because whom Yahweh Shai sets free, no man, all right, can put in bondage again, all right. We're of the elect. There's nothing that can put our mind in bondage to the ways of this world, to where we was captives to this way of thinking, okay? Because you have our people, they're in captive, all right, to the reasoning of this world, okay? You got men that can't think outside, okay, of being a nigga, okay, or being a Christian. You see, being a Republican. You got our people that can't think outside of being these things, man. Okay, the woman can't think outside of being a feminist. Okay, they're in captive to their way of thinking and their reasoning, their mindset. Okay, but through Yahushua, we've been liberated. Okay, now we're just waiting to be physically liberated from this devil. That's the faith and the patience of the saints, as the scriptures go into. And that's why you go here to the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 4. All right, 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 3. It says, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. Read this in the NLT. If the good news we preach is hidden behind the veil, it is hidden only from people who are perishing, man. And as our people, their minds are still captivated in this system, they're only getting worse. They're perishing, man. That's why each generation gets worse. The life expectancy goes down. Okay, the degeneracy increases. Okay, lewdness increases. Okay, the only thing that's increasing amongst our people, they're still captive, all right, to the way of thinking of the devil or the serpent. Okay, they're only increasing in death. Okay, we're increasing in life, man. We're learning how to live because we've been liberated, man, through Yahushua. Okay, so our minds, all right, are not in captive, okay, to these false realities of the devil, man. Okay, verse 4, it says, in whom the God of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Mashiach, who is the image of the Most High, should shine unto them. Okay, so the gods of this world, Esau, Edom, okay, the rulers, as you go into this word, all right, God in the Greek, all right, which is theos.
Strong's G 2316. Theos. Theos.
All right. Now you go here. It's the last definition. It says of magistrates or judges. Okay. And right now Esau is the judge of this world. He's the judge of this age. This is his empire. Okay. He has been given authority. Okay. The scriptures say, they execute wickedness because it's in the power of their hand. Okay, so he's able to push propaganda. He's able to do psyops. He's able to enchant people, within his rulership. You see? But there's a remnant that Yahushua, okay, has liberated from that. We've been set free. Okay? And this is why we don't move, all right, and dance to the same tune as the rest of our people, man. Okay, we're operating under a different type of wisdom, man, a different type of order, a different type of structure. Okay, you see, and when Yahushua comes, he's gonna fully liberate us, man. Okay, we're gonna be unleashed from these bodies. We're gonna be unleashed to execute upon righteous judgment, man. Right now we don't have the liberty to do particular things. Certain things that are lawful are not expedient because we don't have that authority yet. We haven't been liberated on that level yet. Okay? But the time coming when we will. And that's why you go back to Malachi chapter 4. All right, Malachi 4 and 2. It says, but unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. Okay? Ye shall go forth as the calves of the stall. And the brother went into that, okay, going into the calves of the stall. So I want to go here, you know. God damn. So the phone just. Hold on, man. All right, yeah, Salakia. Your phone just started going haywire, you know. But this is the book of Malachi, chapter 4, verse 2. All right, let's read in the blue letter. It says, but unto you that fear the name, all right, shall the Son of Righteousness, which that's Yahweh Shai. Okay, it's metaphorically speaking of Yahweh Shai, as it says the S-U-N, okay, because, you know, the sun is associated with healing. You know, being out in the sun, you know, is good for healing. All right, and it says, in his wings, which are the chariots, okay, because Yahweh Shai, when them chariots crack the clouds, we're going to be changed. You know, we're going to be perfected, and we're going to shed these old bodies, all right, and be transformed into those new bodies. All right, these spirits are going to put on new bodies. Okay, they complete healing. You see, and it says, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves, okay, of the stall. All right, now when you read this in the NLT, then we'll get a commentary on it. This is the book of Malachi, chapter 4, verse 2. But for you who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in his wings, and you will go free, leaping with joy, like calves let out of a pasture. All right, like cows let out to pasture, man. Okay, so when you go here, you know, it's going to be such, you know, a burden off us when we get to shed these bodies, man. I remember the brother out in the LA camp, okay, out in Cali. You know, his daughter had the dream of being delivered. You know, and one of the things that she said that stuck with me was that when she was going up, she felt light. You know, she felt real light as she was going up. You know, and it was just a change. You know, that was her changing. You know, she shedded this old body, this flesh, you know, this sinful flesh that weighs down our spirit, man. Okay, that's why Yahweh Shah says what? The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Okay, this war that Apostle Paul spoke of the flesh against the spirit, well, that war is going to be ended. Okay, and it's needed right now for us to be at war with the flesh. Okay, because it's refining us, man. It's making us appreciate righteousness, man. Okay, we're going to appreciate having those new bodies that can only do right. You know, and the fight of the flesh is going to be over. We're going to be set free from that. Okay, no more wicked thoughts. Okay, no more, no doubt. No more. Okay, having to fight to do right. Okay, it's going to be just going to be natural. We're going to be set free. We're going to be truly liberated. Because right now our minds are liberated, but our body's going to be liberated. Our spirit's going to be liberated. Okay, go here. So when you go into the book of Malachi, chapter 4 and 2, all right, going to the AI overview, and this lets you know that AI is learning from us. Okay, because they're learning these breakdowns. All right, they've been monitoring the prophets for decades now. Okay, start with our apostles and elders. Okay, and they starting to sound and say the same things that we say. Okay, but going into it, it said Malachi 4 and 2. But to you who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness shall rise with healing in his wings. The verse contrasts, all right, the judgment for the wicked, okay, going into that duality, with the blessing for those, all right, who revere the Most High's name, which is going to be the elect of Israel. All right, his name is Yahweh, the name of the Holy Father. All right, and his son's name is Yahweh Shai. Okay, and the remnant, all right, the hopeful elect. Okay, the Lord has put it in them to have a true reverence for those names. Okay, to move and operate in the fear of those names of that authority, man. Okay, and it says with the blessings with those who reveres the Most High's name, the Son of Righteousness, is a metaphor for the Messiah, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, who will bring light and healing to those who follow him, the hopeful elect of Israel. The verse also promises that those who fear the Most High will experience joy and liberation, okay? Will experience joy and liberation like calves released from a stall. Because the cows, all right, they will be, put up throughout the night, and then in the morning, all right, the farmer, the owner, okay, will come and release them to the pasture. So they will be out in the sun. They will get to graze freely, okay? They will be in abundance, okay? Because in their stall, they will be limited. They'll be in the confined space, no sun, okay? But when they will be released, all right, to pasture, it's like a great liberation for them, okay? And when we're changed out of this body, it's going to be like a great liberation, man. When this system is destroyed, we don't have to function in this system anymore. It's going to be a great liberation, man. Okay? So, going here, all right? This is the Son of Righteousness. It says, it said, here's a more detailed breakdown. It said, but to you who fear my name, this phrase emphasizes that the blessing is for those who have a deep respect and reverence for the Most High's authority and character, man. Okay? And the elect were born with a certain reverence for Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. That's why when we heard this word, we immediately subjugated ourselves to these things, man. It was still, a lot of learning we had to do. Okay? But we began to change based solely on what was written. Based solely just on what was written. That's why when you go here to the book of Sirach, all right, 1 and 14, all right, it said the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. You see, to understand the Bible, all right, the Lord has to already have a certain fear within us, okay? Because that's the beginning of coming into this wisdom, being able to grow and evolve in this thing, man. Because there's a lot of people that come in and can mimic breakdowns, but they never have the fear of the Lord. And it shows in their day-to-day. It shows in their behavior. And the Lord, has been exposing this, Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai has been exposing that there are a lot of men, okay, that, all right, can mimic breakdowns and sound deep, but there's no true fear of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, and their actions go into that, the way that their move goes into that, okay? So, when you finish this off, Sirach 1 and 14, I said, to fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and it was created with the faithful in the womb. Okay, so there's a remnant on this fear. It's already given to, all right, from birth, man. It just had to be extrapolated, through the hearing. All right, so in the book of Sirach, chapter 25, verse 12, it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of his love, and faith is the beginning of cleaving unto him. Okay, so going back to that fear, that reverence, okay, and that's where we begin to grow, because we operate in that fear. It motivates us to make the adjustments needed, to become into the likeness of Yahweh Shai. You see, it's fear, that's one of the driving motivators, a high reverence for Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. It means we consider Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai in everything that we do, okay? Every decision that we make, we consider Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. That's having that high reverence for our power, and that's changing us, man. You see, it's separating us from everyone else through our conduct, okay, through our reasoning, through our belief, and we begin to cleave to our power. So going back here, okay, when you go to the second part, it said the Son of Righteousness will rise, all right? It said this is a powerful image signifying the coming of the Messiah, who will bring light and hope. All right, with healing in his wings, the phrase suggests that the Messiah will bring spiritual, physical, and emotional healing to those who follow him. The wings are metaphorical, represents, all right, which represents the chariots, man. Okay, it represents the chariots. All right, now it says, and you will go out and leap like calves from the stall. The imagery illustrates the joy and freedom that believers will experience in the presence of the Messiah, like the cattle let out to graze. Okay, and that's going to be in abundance. It represents abundance, man. You know, those cows, they just get to go enjoy. You know, no worries. All right, not no bills. Okay, no stress. You see, they just get to go and be. You see, in the kingdom, we're going to get to be, man. Because in this society, you know, as Israelites, you know, we don't just get to be. You know, Israelite men, okay, especially a heterosexual Israelite man, okay, he's looked at it toxic for trying to just have authority in his household, okay, for trying to raise his family with a standard that's looked at as toxic, man. All right, controlling, misogynist, and all these different terms they make, you know, when we operate in righteousness, man. You know, scripture say he that leaveth off from evil, making himself a prey. This is a society where righteousness is mocked. Okay, we can't even. You gotta tiptoe to be a man, and then you have to tiptoe extra to be a righteous man in this society, man. You know, but in the kingdom, we just gonna get to be. The earth is gonna conform, all right, to the righteous standard of Israel, man. Okay, Isaiah the 2nd chapter, man. The nation is gonna conform to us. Okay, see, we've been conformed in this society to the nations, man. Okay, and as we have broken free in our thinking and our reasoning, okay, in this society, all right, we're not liberated to be fully who we want to be. You know, you have to be incognito in this society, but in the kingdom, nah, man, we're gonna be fully liberated, man. All right, certain things you have to turn the cheek. Okay, that's why Yahweh said you have to turn the cheek in certain things. You can't judge how you want to judge. You know, you can't execute, you know, true judgment. You see, we have to wait. Okay, but that time is coming, but we're gonna be fully liberated, man, to just be. Okay, and just be, man. All right, Israelite men, Israelite women, you're not gonna be trying to uphold, you know, this standard of strong black woman and destroy yourself trying to do that. You're gonna be liberated to be true women. Okay, trying to be a woman in this society, okay, is a hard thing. You know, trying to be a traditional woman, it comes with resistance in this society, man. Okay, the system not set up for women to really be in that traditional order like they should be. We try, you know, we try as men and women. Okay, the scripture say seek the old paths, man. Okay, but we live in a system that's set up contrary to that. Okay, but the perks of the kingdom is that we're going to be liberated. We're going to have the resources, the time, the power, the wisdom, all these things in abundance. Okay, we're going to experience everything in abundance, as it says here in the book. Okay, of well, this been coming out a lot lately. You know, this St. John 10:10, and I want to read it in the NLT. It said the thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. Okay, and that's what Esau does. That's his MO. Okay, this man has stolen, you know, people's sovereignty, nation sovereignty, resources, identities. Okay, he has destroyed, you know, he has stole family structure, hijacked the family structure, hijacks people, you know, thinking, you know, with these enchantments. Okay, this man has completely just destroyed, all right, the experience, okay, of the earth, man. You see, the Lord created a paradise, man, of abundance. This man creates oppression and scarcity, man. Okay, he has, you know, majority of the earth on this rat race for, you know, 8% of the world's wealth. Okay, while everything trickles to this devil, you know, this small 1%. Okay, this is an absolutely nightmare situation scenario that we in. But the devil, has painted it as if it don't get no better. And people still buy into that. Okay? But we understand that true life is going to be in Yahweh Shai, man. And as we increase in his wisdom, we really begin to understand what life is, man. And Yahweh Shai is going to liberate us to truly live. This is St. John 10:10. It said the thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life, man. Okay? We're going to be constantly satisfied, okay, with the blessings of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Okay? In this world, you're always chasing something. There's always a lack of something. It's always, you're behind the 8 ball. Constant pressure and stressing. No, well, Yahweh Shai, man, no, it's going to be a rich and satisfying life, man. We're going to get to enjoy the family, enjoy the earth, enjoy the brotherhood, enjoy the day. You see, enjoy resources, enjoy wealth, man. Okay? we're gonna be liberated, man. Not gonna be limited to numbers in the bank account. Okay? Not gonna be limited to vacation days. Okay? In this society, it's nothing but restraints. Okay? We're not gonna be subjugated to sin and trying to navigate of not doing sin. We're just gonna be. We're just gonna get to enjoy. Okay? That's why he says here. Get 2 more. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 16. All right. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 16. Okay. In verse 11, it says, "Thou wilt show me the path of life." And how we're being shown the path of life now? Through this wisdom. Okay, we're being shown how to live. We're being shown what life is. We're tapping into our true purpose, man. It's another thing that the devil stole is purpose, man. As sons of God, we have a high purpose in the earth, man. It's way beyond dunking the goddamn ball, okay, or freestyling. You see, or some goddamn dance move, man. All right, we have a purpose of enforcing righteousness in the earth, man, being a righteous standard in the earth, okay, forwarding the will of the Lord in the earth, man, of our Father, man, okay, and that's what we're gonna be liberated to do, okay, in Yahweh Shai, man, to really be into our purpose, man, and the Lord has given us a portion to where we're on our purpose now. We're teaching and edifying, okay, but we're going to be loose to really enforce righteousness in the earth, man. You see, Yahweh Shai is coming to really liberate, all right, his people, man, to liberate his joint heirs, man, to be in their office in the earth. We have an office, okay, and the Lord has given us, all right, an office to edify, to teach, to work on ourselves now, okay, but that office is going to increase as we're going to be joint heirs with Yahweh Shai in the world to come, okay. You see, you don't have to no driver's license, okay, you don't have to social security number and Esau's paperwork, and you're not gonna have to check in. No, you're just gonna be able to execute judgment. Okay. You see, the only government that we have to check in with the government of Israel, because there's gonna be order and rank amongst that government. Okay, and there's gonna be certain things, that their brothers are gonna have within their province, within their jurisdiction, man. That they're gonna have the liberty to do, man, to set things in order according to a standard. Because everyone, it's gonna be one uniform standard of righteousness, man. Okay. You see, and that's why we're learning order now within these camps. Okay. So going on, it said, "Thou will show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore." Okay, so in the presence of Yahweh Shai, okay, is the fullness of joy. You see, just like it said in this breakdown, okay, it says, "And you shall go out and leap like calves from the stall." The imagery illustrates the joy and freedom that believers will experience in the presence of the Messiah, like cattle out to gaze, man. Okay? So we're just gonna be free to roam in the earth, man. You know, to move around, to just be, you know? You see? Everything in abundance, man. Okay? You the best of the best, man. You just add to yourself according to your liking, man. Okay? In everything, man. Okay? You know? So we should want, you know, the judgment of this place, all right, to be expedited, all right? And as the scriptures say, let's go here. I believe it's Isaiah 51. All right. Isaiah 51 and 14. It said, the captive exile hastening that he may be loose, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail. So we should hasten to get out of this exile, man. You know, and as Yahweh Shai has, you know, been that sacrifice of peace, you know, that gave us, you know, this grace period to get in good standings with our power. All right, because we've been exiled because of disobedience. You know, when we are exiled from a kingdom, you lose your rank, your status. Okay, you lose, you know, your authority. Okay, your wealth. You lose everything, man. Okay, you be reduced to nothing. All right, so that's why being exiled, you know, would be a punishment of someone of high rank. You know, because they will pretty much be impoverished. Okay, and be stripped. You know, they will have to live life, you know, subjugated, okay, hey, to poverty and you know, no power, you know, and it was like a living torture for someone who comes from, you know, a life of nobility and wealth and influence and power, you know, to go be a nobody, you know, to be a mockery, okay? So we've been exiled, man, you see, but through Yahweh Shai, all right, we have a chance in this grace period to come back in the good standings, okay, of our Father, okay, and be back reestablished as that's those authorities in the earth, man, in righteousness, man, you know. But this exile was meant, you know, for us to grow, for us to appreciate righteousness, man, okay, for us to appreciate, to understand the responsibility of rulership. You know, it's not a thing to be taken lightly. All right, and it's not about, you know, the perks of rulership. It's about the responsibility of rulership. Because if we handle the responsibilities of rulership, the perks are always going to be there. Okay, and you really can enjoy the perks of rulership when everything is in order, when everything is in righteousness, man. Okay, so we have the mindset of captives that they're waiting to be loose. Okay, go here. We've been getting this a lot lately. Second Esdras, all right, chapter 2 and verse 11, and it says, their glory also will I take unto me, and give these the everlasting tabernacles which I prepared for them. You see, those everlasting bodies, you know. And there's another thing, no more having the thought of death, being liberated to even have to think about death, not even have to think about death anymore, being liberated from that. How great is that going to be, man? Not to even have to think about death, man. Okay, not to have one thought about death forever, because death doesn't affect us anymore, man. Death is not going to have any. We'll say, death, where's thy sting? You know, so just to be liberated from the thought of death, man. Okay, it says they shall have the tree of life for an ointment of sweet savior. They shall neither labor nor be weary. No more being fatigued. No more being tired and drained, and you know, mind fogging. You know, none of these things, man. Okay, always sharp, always on point. Okay, energy to enjoy the blessing, man, because we're gonna need eternal energy to enjoy the blessing, man. You know, the blessing that the Lord has for his people, man. We're gonna need new bodies just to really enjoy it, man. Okay, that's why you go here. It says, Second Ezra 2 and 13 says, go and you shall receive, pray for a few days unto you, that they may be shortened. The kingdom is already prepared for you. Watch. Okay? Pray for a few days that they may be shortened. The kingdom is already prepared for us. Watch, man. So we in the mindset of praying for a few days, man, that the Lord wraps this thing up. Okay? That's our mindset, is that Yahweh Bashem, because we understand, that we got so much more coming. We got so much more to look forward to beyond, all right, this captivity, man. Beyond these bodies, man. The captivity of this kingdom, okay, and the captivity of these bodies, man. Okay, which Yahweh Shai is coming to liberate us from all that, man. And let's go here. We end it here. All right. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 10 and verse 12. This is Zechariah chapter 10 and verse 12. It says, "And I will strengthen them in the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, and they shall walk up and down in the name, said the Lord." Now you read this in NLT. "By my power I will make my people strong, and by my authority they will go wherever they wish. I, the Lord, have spoken." Okay? I, the Lord, have spoken. You see? So by the Lord's authority, we're going to go where we wish, man. No such thing as a passport checking in, TSA. Nah, man. We're going to move around how we want. Okay? We're going to enjoy the earth to our pleasure, man. We're going to be unleashed. Okay? To be. All right? No more having to tuck in our righteousness. No more have to tuck in who we are as a people. Okay? No more have to, conceal, what we believe in certain situations, man. Okay? Because of this world. Okay? We're going to be fully liberated, man, to go and move about as we please, man. So that's the point. Just wanted to get into that, Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Till next time I say shalom.